Welcome to another week with the Coaching Hive podcast. If you remember from last week, September is all about self-care. And this week, I have something really special for you. I went outside my comfort zone to help promote self-care, and the coach that I am welcoming onto this week's podcast did the same thing. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Jeannie. She is a national board certified health and wellness coach and a friend of mine and colleague, and I am honored to have her here on the podcast today, where we are going to dig into and dive into self-care. Are you ready? Let's go. I'm Dr. Moira. I'm a college professor, instructor, coach, and passionate mentor to health coaches around the world. But I haven't always been that confident and committed to my coaching career. I was hesitant to take the next step and wasn't sure what the best approach was to success and fulfillment. I decided to step into my passion and purpose of guiding health coaches on their journey from hesitant health coach to committed health coach. With a unique approach to coach growth, the Coaching Hive Blueprint combines creating a mindful vision with inspiring guidance and progress-driven learning. The Coaching Hive podcast is your glimpse into the concepts, ideas, and approaches that underscore the Coaching Hive while giving you the opportunity to implement tools and tips along the way. Are you ready to dive into today's podcast? Then let's go. And remember that this podcast is family friendly, so go ahead and play it through your speakers. I'm glad that you're here, and I would love to take this time together to talk about self-care. We're both health coaches, right? And I wonder if you could just share with everyone what led you to health coaching.
Good question. I think the main thing that drove me to it is for myself. I have been working my whole life trying to lose weight and figure that whole thing out. And then when I realized that health coaching really does work, because I worked with a health coach, this is fantastic. I've got to learn how to do this.
So I think that's kind of how a lot of people come to health coaching, is they realized the benefits of having some help in achieving their health and wellness goals. And so we kind of jump in wholeheartedly. I kind of came to it from a situation. I needed to be as healthy as possible because we were trying to have a family, and I needed to make shifts and my husband needed to make shifts. And so I jumped in and then realized the power of coaching.
Right.
Just we need coaches as a complement to all our other healthcare providers, right?
Definitely. And it helps you keep it accountable. It keeps you on track without worrying about going to the doctor or trying to figure out if a medicine works, or, it's just a different way to change your life and your behavior. Just a whole different pathway.
Yeah, it really is. And something that I think is starting to really pick up and gain some momentum here, especially in the United States, as we have our certification.
Yeah, I definitely. You cut out just a little bit, so I kind of missed that last piece. But yeah, having that board certification just validates what we're doing and makes us more credible.
It really does. And I think a lot of times now our healthcare providers are more willing to work with us as health coaches because they realize that we're doing things from a science background.
Right, absolutely. And that's what makes me more credible at work. I'm trying to incorporate this health coaching practice into a surgical office that I work for, and having that board certification made all the difference. And being able, and I know everybody can't bill with codes right now, but it does help because I'm in the medical practice. So being able to use those codes just makes sense.
Really does. So brilliant to be able to start incorporating health coaching into medical practices, so it just becomes the norm. It's nothing that is, oh, I should have a health coach. Where do I find now? We see them more and more just mainstream.
Yeah, I'm seeing it more and more. Insurances, actually, one insurance that we had, you were able to use a health coach for free while you were on their medical plan. So, it's really up and coming right now.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So as we see the need, well, we've always had the need for health coaches, but as we see more and more health coaches finding their path forward, getting busier, I feel like self-care really becomes even more important. It's important anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But now with building businesses or building partnerships in health coaching, that's a busy time.
Very, yes.
And you're building health coaching into the medical practice where you work. Well, that's just as difficult as building a standalone business. There's all those intricacies that get in the way. And self-care, it kind of gets pushed to the back burner.
It can, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I was feeling a little bit of that this weekend, really. If you keep driving forward, because so many of us want to make this happen, and you feel like you've just got to keep going and going. And if you don't take care of yourself in some fashion, you're going to burn out and you're going to get tired.
Yes, you're right. You do. You get tired, and then you start to feel like, do I really want to keep doing this? If this is the way I'm going to feel, do I want to keep doing it? And that's a sad state for our world and for the health coaching profession when we get burned out.
Definitely. And it's, you lose sight of what your focus really was just because you're more focused on how tired you are.
Yep. And the fact that you just want to go sit on the couch and binge watch some TV.
Yes.
Which, sometimes maybe that self-care is saying, I've had enough for right now. And I've got to sit down and say no to everything else.
Yes. And in reality, that is pretty much what I did this weekend. And along with some other things that I typically do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of hit a wall on Friday. I was exhausted, and Saturday I didn't want to do anything, see anybody, or talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's okay. I feel better. It's just part of getting past where you got stuck.
What a great point. Getting past where you got stuck and just saying it's okay to let go of all of those other things that maybe you ought to be doing. Who actually tells us we ought to be doing those things? Usually us.
Always us.
So stepping back, I think a big part of self-care is stepping back and learning to say no.
Definitely. Because if you can't say no, nobody else is going to do it for you.
No. People are going to keep saying, well, do this for me, do this for me. And if we don't empower ourselves to say no, then we just keep building onto that stress and that burnout.
Yes. And to that point, I learned from you, actually, having an end point and a stopping point with what you're doing. I can plan all day long, and that's part of my self-care. But if I don't put a stop, like a time on what I'm doing, I'll just keep going, and then my plan's blown. But I've learned that, and I've implemented that, and it makes all the difference in the world.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of us, especially as health coaches, can get drawn into that, and we keep working something over and over without just saying, you know what, it's good enough.
Right.
I don't need to keep at this any longer. I need to say, I'm human. The people that I'm serving are human, and we're all human.
Yeah.
No perfection is necessary.
Yeah. And that's actually, it was a very difficult thing for me to wrap my head around. Is, I write out my plan. I'm going to do this at this time and this at this time. But to actually say, I'm going to do this for 30 minutes. Oh my gosh. I fought it for a while. It was hard.
It is really hard. And if you set a timer and the timer goes off, I don't know about you, but I go, oh, but I'm so close. I'll just stop the timer and I'll finish up.
Yes.
clock and it's 30 minutes later. That finish up of 30 seconds was 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. We can go on forever.
Yep. Yep. I've got to know, what are some of your favorite self-care?
So I have a few, it depends on where I'm at with life.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm really, really stressed, or I'm having a lot of anxiety about something, or I'm trying to get started with something new that kind of gives me a lot of, kind of holds me back a little bit,
Yeah.
I will exercise and just burn off that extra energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps clear my mind. It settles all that wasted energy, and then
Mm-hmm.
focus again. So that's a big one. I journal a lot. If I've got some low level stress going on, it really just depends on what is going on in my mind. But a lot of times I will journal, just even if I can't figure out what's happening in my mind, I'll just write it all down. Just get it out of my head. Yes. And then I'll come back to it maybe a couple of days or a week later, and I'm like, oh, I know what's going on now.
Yeah.
And it just makes sense of it.
It's amazing. That space creates so much clarity what's going on. And even just, I've done it, and a couple of days later I look back at it and think, that just wasn't worth it. I just need to let it go.
Yeah.
It's not serving me.
And sometimes just writing it down is letting it go. You can just close the book and walk away, and you get it all out.
It just clears your mind. You don't have to carry it around with you.
Mm-hmm.
I always talk about telling your squirrels to take a nap. Those squirrels that run around in your brain, put them on the journal page. They get to take a nap, and they don't have to bother you anymore.
Exactly, because that's just another distraction. You need your energy for all those things that you really want to focus on. And if you've got these weird things in the back of your mind going on, you can't put the full energy into what you're trying to do.
You can't. You're right. I also love that you brought up exercise. I wholeheartedly don't like exercise. I know that's not what I'm supposed to say, but I have never. I do exercise mostly. I do find a lot of joy in it when I get to exercising, but getting there is a little tough. But I will say, exercising, it does bring clarity. It settles everything down. It gets all of that nervous energy, in my case, out of the way so that I can actually stop and think about what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And a lot of times it's so much simpler than I thought it was.
Yeah, always. That's the same for me. And I always liked to exercise. I didn't love it. But when I decided that exercise was my way of getting past anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I crave it sometimes because I know that I need to get rid of that energy.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't necessarily do it for physical health or weight loss or anything like that. It's really mental health.
Yes. I would go when I was in college, before I was married, I would go for a run, and I was engaged for 3 years so my fiance at that time would say, "You're going for," okay. And he knew something big was happening. I needed to just go for a run, get it out, and then we could talk about whatever was going on.
Right.
But I was going for a run. Something was happening, and I needed to settle it, and then we could talk about what I was worried about or stressed about or just kind of thinking about and couldn't figure out.
Yeah, exactly. Same. My husband will he'll be like, have you been down on the treadmill lately? I
Yes.
think maybe you need to go.
Is it time? Should you go down and walk on the treadmill? I get that too. That subtle hint of something's not quite right.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of yourself. I know it will help.
Right. Yeah. Yep. There's a problem when they know before you do.
You do. But that's also part of self-care, is having that supportive network that can step in and say, I see something's not working. How can I help? Or what do you need?
Yes, exactly. And really, there are times when I don't realize I'm spinning out of control, and he will say something, and that changes it. I'll go do my thing and be fine.
Me too. And it's so, we're, as humans, we're made to be social creatures, but yet I love to read. I'm super introverted. I love to just sit on the couch with a blanket and sink into a book, and I'm perfectly content. So I don't go out and seek that social support. Just natural, not my natural state of being. And we need it though. We need to know when to reach out, when to say, oh, I'm okay. And it makes a difference.
It does. And sometimes that when I journal, that's when I realize, oh, I'm tired, I need to rest, or, I'm missing my friends, I need to go call them or go out with them or whatever. And that, you get so caught up in life, sometimes you just don't know what you need until you either write it down or talk to someone, and some people can shine a light on it better than you can yourself.
Yep. And even just share with someone else, someone who's not close to you, like in the moment close to you, sharing it with someone else, even just speaking those words can bring clarity.
Right. Absolutely.
And all of that helps, I think, with the burnout or the potential for burnout. When we are doing these things like exercising and journaling, then it gets easier. It is big.
Yeah, you can see it quicker, I think. Yeah.
I think so too. I'm taking a yoga for stress relief course. It's 15 have yoga practice every single day.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Stretching my ability to exercise regularly. But it's amazing because we start with mindset at the beginning of the week, and we do gentle yoga and more power yoga to get our breath going so that we can think with clarity. And it's just a reminder that there's no one way for self-care to happen.
Definitely. Yeah, it can look like sometimes I will drive to work and I will turn off my phone, my radio, and sometimes just sitting in silence is just what I need. Just to go to work for 20 minutes in quiet.
Yep. And sitting in the silence is powerful because it does allow the clutter to clear and find some of those answers sometimes that or even just recognize that maybe the answer isn't there yet. Okay too.
Right.
So waiting on it.
Right. Yep.
I've done that. I've gotten in the car and turned everything off, and you just drive in silence and just allow that to calm your body without all that external noise.
Right. More distractions. Yeah. I would say that if whatever self-care someone chooses, if it eliminates distractions so you can get in touch with yourself, then it's the right self-care.
If you can find the kind of self-care that eliminates distraction, even if it's painting your nails. I know some people say, oh, painting your nails is not self-care, but it is if it's allowing you to sit down and stop and to just be quiet and to be with yourself. Then yeah, it's self-care, and you end up with pretty nails. So
bonus.
So it doesn't always have to be things like exercise. Those tried and true things people always say, well, self-care is exercise and it's getting enough sleep. And yes, it's all of those things, but it's also really personal.
Yeah, it's really about listening to what your body and your mind needs and doing it.
Yeah. And I see a friend of mine, John, on, and he was live today saying, you really have to say no. And we were talking about that too. Learn to say no, because it allows you to say yes to other things. What saying no to that extra commitment means you can get to bed at a reasonable time.
Absolutely.
But function better the next day or with your friends. Self-care looks different for everyone, And like you said it, and when we were starting, you said it kind of depends on where I'm at in my life as to what self-care I need, what's going on. And that helps me to decide what to do.
Right, definitely. Yeah, because one day is not going to look like another. You have different stresses throughout your life and throughout the week. And exercise might work in one case, but you might need a bubble bath in another.
You might. I've got a good friend, her husband sends her off to the bubble bath, says, okay, here are your bubbles, go get your bath, and you can't come out until you can tell me 3 good things. Because it makes her stop and reframe the day in a way that allows her to have gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Our husband's saying, the treadmill recently, my time, money. That is, our social support also helps us to know what we need in the moment when we aren't able to see that clearly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think we've covered a lot of different concepts here and thinking about self-care and really finding the answer for you and the that are different. So do you have any kind of last tips when you think about other health coaches? Because we are hoping to minimize that burnout and that stress level, especially as health coaching is really booming in the we want to see it take off and to be successful, but we have to do that in a healthy way. We are all health coaches, right?
Right, right. I think the one thing that I do most every day that keeps me on track is my planner. It's with me all the time. I write everything down, so A, I don't have to remember it, B, I don't forget it, and C, I'm not wasting valuable energy trying to figure out where all this stuff is. It's all in one place. It's right there.
So what do you think is the value of having you have a written planner, right?
I do.
Do you find that there's value in that written planner versus like a visual one?
I do. I tried doing one with my iPad, and it was nice. It was cute, but man, it didn't feel right. There's something about paper and pen that just makes it. There's like this connection from your mind to your hand to the paper that makes it real. At least.
Yes.
Hmm.
You're right. Putting that paper, not paper to pen to paper, pencil to paper, whatever it is, to create your plan. I think it's because you're using more senses, I feel like. And the more senses we involve in the moment, the more effective it's going to be.
Yes.
Your goal out and writing it down, that just adds to the motivation of it, to your willingness to give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Concept of that planner and being able to identify, like I identify my top 3 rocks for the day, my top 3 must-dos, and I play, and I feel such a big sense of accomplishment when those are done. And then I have the lesser things underneath that if they get moved, nothing's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. It's still there. You can still see it. And I like to put affirmations in there too. I don't do it every day, but there's something about not only are you thinking about the affirmation, but you're also writing it out. So it gives you a double shot at having that affirmation kind of sink in.
Do you do that on a daily basis?
A lot of days, probably not every day, but it's always, I open my planner for the week and I can see them there. If I add to it, I do. If I don't have time, then I don't.
Okay. I like that idea. I use a quote of the week in my planner, but I hadn't thought to do daily affirmations in my planner. I like that idea.
Yeah, it's nice. I always start in the morning. So I open it, after I get up, and that's what I start with. I write in an affirmation, I write out my to-dos and what's coming up and just refresh my mind. And so the first thing is an affirmation.
Oh, that's perfect. I love it. I think that. Now, I need to write it down so I remember.
Get your
on my planner so that I can plan to write my affirmations in my planner.
I'll jot a note in my planner to remind you.
I'm thinking my planner's just out of reach. I can't quite grab it right now. Oh my goodness. So thank you so much. You've given me some new insights, and I know that one of the goals I told you when I asked if you wanted to come on with me live to talk was that I'd love to raise awareness for health coaches so that we are living a healthy lifestyle, and that includes self-care. Mm-hmm. And self-care is something we often just push to the back burner, whether we're health coaches or not. But I do think health coaches are susceptible to it like everyone else.
Yeah.
And we need to be good role models. So it's a win-win. We get to be a good role model. We also get to take care of ourselves so that we can sustain careers as health coaches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For spending time with me tonight and coming to share your ideas, I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome. It was my privilege.
Thank you to everyone who is listening, and I love those ideas that you guys heard as well. Wasn't it absolutely wonderful to hear Jeannie's ideas as she shared self-care, as we chatted self-care together, and recognizing that self-care for everyone is different. There's no right or wrong to self-care, provided that you are actually doing some form of self-care. So next week, we will continue our conversations all around self-care and coaching. And until then, I hope you are able to take time out of your day for some good quality self-care.